Good evening and welcome to Breaking Today News. I am Lincoln Ombogwa. Our sign language interpreter is Teresia Washira. These are the stories making headlines.
Kitu gani imekuwa mbaya? ODM ilikuwa mzuri 2007, 2013, 2017. Sasa kiendelea 2020 anakuwa mbaya. Iko mbaya gani?
ODM leader Raila Odinga castigates the formation of a new coastal region political party, insisting that it will create ethnic division.
It was very disheartening because this is not the child you are expecting, and none of the scans indicated that there was anything wrong with her. So to find that out at birth was pretty difficult for us. We didn't know what to do, which steps we need to take. So we are at the mercy of the doctors.
Tonight, we interact with a parent who narrates the experience of living with a child born with defects.
There are laws that are in place to protect both landlords and tenants from harassment by each other. Yes.
And our business desk speaks to litigator Eric Thiga, who explains the commercial law protecting tenants and landlords. You can now watch your favorite programs on the following platforms: Signet Zuku Channel 53 or Azam Channel 338. You can also catch our episodes on our website www.switchtv.ke, Switch TV News YouTube channel, or download the Switch TV app on Google Play Store or App Store. Send in your feedback to our SMS line 111 444 111 and it's Switch TV Kenya and at Lincoln Wombogo. Just a few days before the Building Bridges Initiative campaign kicks off officially nationwide, Deputy President William Ruto has again thrown a jab at the BBI, saying there is no urgency in reviewing the Constitution. Speaking in Narrow County, the DP has urged the government to focus on reviving the economy. Namukene Samuel reports.
The BBI drum rolls continue beating. Deputy President William Ruto has once again reiterated that there is no urgency in the review of the Constitution. Ruto claims that COVID-19 and the worsening economy decline are the issues with urgent need.
Ndio wale wengine wanahangaika huko Nairobi wakitafuta vikundi, wakijaribu kwenda pande hii na kwenda pandie, tuwaambie hatuna time ya kugombana na nyinyi.
Ruto has assured the country that he will not succumb to pressure to support the no camp, as this will risk dividing the country. He further noted that there was no need for a contested referendum on the Building Bridges Initiative, adding that Parliament should debate and remove contentious issues in the report.
It is possible to have a non-contested referendum. I want to tell our friends, if they are looking for a competition, let them wait for 2022. We will have a competition.
Haiwezi kuwa wakati ya kulipa ushuru tunalipa sisi wote, lakini ikifika ni kufanyia kazi hiyo pesa inafanyia kazi matajiri peke yake. Hiyo tumekataa.
Ruto was accompanied by the Tangatanga Brigade leaders who took a stab at the BBI document, claiming it wouldn't bring any changes to the common mwananchi.
Wale wanataka lete migawanyiko Kenya hii, tunaambia poleni sana, hatuko kwa hiyo agenda. We should not drive a wedge between communities and with leaders.
Sisi tumekuwa watu wako wa mkono, bamba kwa bamba, mpaka tufike Ikulu. Tutaenda barabara moja, na hiyo barabara moja ni hasla.
Ruto was in Narok West constituency in Narok County, where he led various empowerment programs. Namukene Samuel, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Namukene Samuel. Still in matters politics, ODM party leader Raila Odinga has cautioned leaders against misusing the country's multi-party democracy to create ethnic political parties. Odinga has called on lawmakers and governors pushing for the formation of a regional political party in the coast region to remain in ODM and push forward the BBI agenda. Joel Chacha with more.
In day 3 of his official tour in Coast Region, ODM leader Raila Odinga today officially opened Sanglaweni Primary School in Ganze, Kilifi County, which insiders say is a litmus test for Governor Amason Kingi, who has been on loggerheads with his party boss. Odinga's allies took to the stage to popularize the BBI bill that will be tabled in Parliament tomorrow.
Bahati haiji mara mbili wala mara tatu. Hii BBI ni bahati yetu.
Mtu akipiga BBI
hakika kabisa mtakubaliana na mimi ya kwamba ni mchawi.
Bakassi East Member of Parliament Babu Owino slammed Deputy President William Ruto for selling his hustler narrative in the region.
Deputy President ambaye anataka kuwa rais wa Kenya anakuambia ya kwamba mtoto wako anaweza endesha tu wheelbarrow. Shetani ashindwe.
Wengine wanakuja hapa wanasema ati hawa ni mahustlers. Hata ukiona sura yao, wengine ni wamama na wako na tumbo ndefu imejaa ugali na mboga na nyama, na anasema hawa ni hustlers.
With a section of ODM allied lawmakers and governors pushing for the formation of a regional political party in efforts to clinch the top seat come 2022 general elections, Odinga terms it as a threat to national unity.
Lakini kaduasili, shirikisho, RC na Umoja Summit wakija pamoja, inasemekana ni tishio kwa umoja wa taifa. Double speak.
Naongejea mambo ya kaduasili, naye amekuwa ODM haki yote. Kitu gani imekuwa mbaya? ODM ilikuwa mzuri 2007, 2013, 2017, sasa kiendelea 2022 sasa inakuwa mbaya. Iko mbaya gani? Kadi ya asili ilikuweko haikuweko. Hata hiyo shirikishi ilikuweko haikuweko. Kwa sababu yeye hakusimama na kadi ya asili. Sababu gani yeye hakusimama na shirikisho? Mimi naita yeye naalika yeye, bwana njoo tuende na pamoja. Kama ODM.
Odinga's trip in the coast appears to minimize the impact of DP Ruto's forays into his coastal stronghold. There are also claims Raila could be strategically grooming Joho to be his deputy president in the 2022 presidential race. Joel Chacha, Switch TV, Nairobi.
Thank you, Joel Chacha. Elsewhere, ANC party leader Musalia Mudavadi has raised allegations that some Kakamega staff employees have infiltrated the Electoral Commission IEBC and have been included in the process of overseeing the elections tomorrow. Speaking at his home in Mululu, Vihiga County, Musalia explained that this was a plan for the ODM party under the leadership of the Kakamega County government to rig the election. Mudavadi is now calling on the commission to intervene and ensure that anyone directly involved with the Kakamega County government is not involved in any way with the by-election in Matungu.
Some county government, Kakamega County government officials have maneuvered their way into delicate areas of the IBC operation. Some of them have even been recruited. And we highlighted one or two.
Tuko na intelligence ya kwamba wapinzani wetu wanapanga kuleta vurugu katika hii process ya kupiga kura, haswa sana upande eneo ambazo niko na strongholds kidogo.
Kuna ambulance imewekwa hapo Matungu inazunguka, na hiyo habari ile yenye tuko nayo, hiyo ambulance ijabeba madawa, hiyo ambulance ijabeba first aid, ati imebeba rungu, imebeba mapanga na silaha.
Away from politics, as the world marks Birth Defects Day, our reporter Hadia Mosiwa had a one-on-one with Esther Masika, who shares a story, her experience with Switch TV as a mother of one-year-old Tunu who was born with bilateral clubfeet, resulting from a rare condition called arthrogryposis.
Hello there. So today being World Birth Defects Day, I have been joined by Esther Masika and of course her beautiful daughter Tunu in light of creating awareness across the world on birth defects, their causes and their impact on society. Esther is going to highlight her story and of course her journey with Tunu, who is just I think 1 year and 6 months, and she was born with defects. Welcome so much, Esther.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Right
and
away.
Tunu here.
Yeah, of course. Hi, Tunu. So right away, could you kindly just tell our viewers how it was for you with Tunu, and now that today we are celebrating this day, the steps that you have taken so far?
Okay, so Tunu was born in 2019, and I had a pretty normal pregnancy. It's at birth that we discovered she has a congenital anomaly. It was actually the first day we ever had of a birth defect, and right from that day one, they began treatment on Tunu because she was diagnosed with bilateral clubfoot, and it's a treatment that requires 6 weeks of casting, and then she moves on to this particular shoe, which she wears for 3 months plus for 23 hours, then she moves down to 12 hours.
I'm
But
sorry, I have to ask,
Yeah.
when Tunu was born, when you saw her for the first time, how was she looking? So that the viewers can really understand when you talk about birth defects, what we are exactly saying.
Okay, so Tunu was born with a fracture on her right arm, and then her hands were behind her back, and she had her feet facing her chin, which is what the bilateral clubfoot is. But it was very disheartening because this is not the child you are expecting, and none of the scans indicated that there was anything wrong with her. So to find that out at birth was pretty difficult for us. We didn't know what to do, which steps we need to take. So we are at the mercy of the doctors because now they were like, okay, this is what we are going to do. You go online to look for information. It's very scanty information. Even the doctors that are who you'd be referred to are all, in the Western countries. So it took us a very long time before we did find a specialist clinic, of which we found, luckily, in Nairobi. But she was at 9 months, and on seeing the child, they're like, no, she has to begin this process all over again, which means 6 weeks of casting, 3 months of wearing this shoe for 23 hours, and then moving down to 12 hours.
And just quickly, what does the shoe exactly do for
So
Tunu?
the shoe keeps the feet in place once they've been straightened out. So a normal foot faces outward. It's straight, but it faces outward. So this shoe is to maintain her feet in that position, right? Until she starts walking, and the time is spent less and less and less wearing the shoe. So ideally by 5 years, she should have outgrown wearing the bar and brace.
Briefly, just tell us the challenges of raising Tunu, and you obviously have an organization that you work with other parents who go through the same. How has it been for you and for the other parents?
It's been very tough because of a lack of information, a lack of a clear referral system. So you don't know where to go. So there's a lot of delayed intervention that comes in between. The children who you'd find by 3 months, had they begun their process at day 1, that by 3 months they are where Tunu is today. You can imagine. So I don't want any other mother having to go through this journey first. We'd advocate for birth defects prevention, which means before preconception education. Go for your preconception education. Find out your family history. Eat right. Stop abusing substances when you know you are planning to have a baby, because it will be fatal for it can prove fatal for even the mom and the child. So you find the first trimester is the most crucial trimester when you're giving in the whole pregnancy journey, because most birth defects, and brain formation takes place within the first trimester. But many people sadly do not know that they're expecting unless, because they've missed the period and things like that. So you find you've been maybe taking medication that would be harmful to your child, but you did not know that you're pregnant. So, those are some of the steps that we can take to actively ensure that you minimize the risk of giving birth to a child with a birth defect. Yeah.
So far, how has it been? The steps you have taken, obviously there's been growth. Hi, Tunu.
Yeah.
What is the growth you can say you have seen with Tunu and the therapies and that you've been taking care of her?
Okay, I've seen a lot of growth. Luckily, there are skilled doctors who are available in Nairobi. We have a specialist clinic that we've been taking Tunu, Kiwa Kenya, and Kiwa Kenya walk the journey with you. Like literally, I cannot miss an appointment. They will call and be like, "Hi, you've missed an appointment. What happened on that day?" And you figure out a better way to do it. Money, financially, it's been very expensive. In fact, before we got to the specialist clinic, because you're dealing with so many doctors, and this doctor wants to know what the other doctor is doing and the other doctor is doing, and it has been difficult. But when you're in a specialist center, then they are keeping track of how the baby is doing. And so Tunu is well. She began her journey at day 1. She relapsed in between. But now she's at a stage where she doesn't have to wear this shoe for 23 hours. She's now down to 12 hours. So we can see her growth mentally. We can see her playing. She's now learning words. She sings along to her lullaby. So we are quite pleased with ourselves. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, or viewers, this is just in light of creating awareness to the society on birth defects, their causes, and of course their impacts. And we have been joined by Esther. Thank you so much, Esther, for joining us. We're going to have more of this discussion in our bulletins. You keep tuned into Switch TV. And of course, happy Birth Defects Day to Tunu and her mother, and to all those out there who are celebrating also the same challenges. We celebrate you, and you are our heroes.
Thank you, Hadi Masiwa. Indeed, happy World's Defects Day. With us, we now take a short commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be back with more. Welcome back and thank you for keeping it Switch TV. Atheist Society in Kenya have opposed the former National Assembly Majority Leader Aden Duale's proposed bill on criminalizing pornography in the country. The society says the government should focus rather on sex education. Robert Homer reports.
The atheists in Kenya society have come up in full force to oppose Aden Duale's proposal on criminalizing pornographic content in the country. We ask why.
Stop criminalizing sharing and viewing of pornographic content. In any case, in the age of the internet, I doubt whether the government will be successful Actually, when the bill passes, it's going to be a very sad day for this country.
Among other bills stated in the proposal is that a person shall not knowingly publish pornography through computer system, and if any person flouts this law, he or she is liable to a fine not exceeding 20 million or serve a jail term not exceeding 25 years or both.
What is being proposed in the amendment bill is very punitive, and it's also not going to solve the problem of immorality in this country. That is not the way to go.
Also, a person shall not knowingly publish any electronic messages that is likely to cause one to join terrorist activities. If one infringes on this law, he or she is liable to a fine not exceeding 5 million or a jail time not exceeding 5 years or both. The society has also accused Aden Duale for allegedly invoking religious bias, criminalizing this content, and the charges should be questioned.
You see, when you make it 20 million and it's just about watching, yeah, and then you reduce the fine for terrorism to 5 million. I think terrorism actually should attract a bigger fine.
Kenyan youths had their say on this.
Inachangia watu wanakuwa masenge, wanakuwa mashoga, juu zile vitu zenye wanawatch na wana dem inafika pali na affect.
Sex education should be taught by both parents and teachers in schools. Yeah.
The bill has been echoed by KOTU Secretary General Francis Atwoli, saying that the production and promotion of pornographic materials have an impact on the social well-being of the society at large. Robert Omar, Switch TV News.
All right, we do have the latest from the world of business. Good evening. My name is Clifford Ndubi. Now, when it comes to tenancy in Kenya, not so many Kenyans understand their rights, especially when handling disputes related to deposit as well as damaged properties when vacating houses. Disputes may go all the way to corridors of justice, or you may not get the full refund of your deposit. So how does the commercial law protecting tenants, are they well implemented for landlords? How are they protected? Under this law, I spoke to commercial litigator Eric Thige.
I believe that it's a yes or no question. Yes, in terms of their laws, which specify the duties and obligations of tenants and landlords. But no, in terms of that the laws that are in place are deficient. And other than the deficiencies of the law, also the implementation of the law is lacking. So that you meet landlords and tenants, if I may say, taking law into their own hands and resorting to self-help measures. But generally, I would say yes, there are laws that are in place to protect both landlords and tenants from harassment by each other.
What are some of the key tenant rights that they need to know before occupying a house and before vacating the same house that they occupied?
Some of the rights that tenants have, the right not to be discriminated against when one is looking for a house. So you will find that you will go to some estates, you are told we cannot let to you because you are single. Because you're from this religion, because you're pregnant, because you're married, you're not married. All those are instances of discrimination that should not happen. So that is a right that each and every Kenyan should know, that they should not be discriminated against. Also, tenants have the right to a refund of their deposits once the tenancy is terminated, which deposit should not be withheld by the landlord unless the circumstances dictate that the same should be withheld.
Talking about deposit, which is one of the crucial things when one is getting a house and when one is vacating a house, at what point should one get back his deposit? Should it be a month before he has vacated, or immediately in the event there are no damages which have been done?
There's no specific timeline, set timeline within which the deposit should be refunded. It will all be dependent on tenancy agreement between the parties. If the tenancy agreement says that the deposit should be refunded immediately, then it should be so. But let's say there is no tenancy agreement, which in most cases within the country there are no tenancy agreements, then it should be within a reasonable period. If the payment of rent was happening within a month, then you should expect that the deposit should be refunded within a month. Yes.
During these COVID-19 times, we've seen so many cases of tenants being evicted. How would you talk about this situation in the country?
I would say that the COVID period has affected both parties, if I may call them that, both landlords and tenants, in that tenants have not been able to go to work. Then that would affect the business premises in, let's say, within town. But this tenant is also living at a place where probably he has rented, which also affects the residential tenancy that they may have. The solution to that, most of the solutions to that we have handled have been to renegotiate with the landlords. Also, if you're acting for the landlord, then to renegotiate with the tenants, such that we come to an agreeable solution to both of them.
Definitely that concerns you and me. To some other news now. The Finnish government has extended an additional grant of 14 billion to trademark East Africa to spur trade and economic growth in the East Africa region. Finland Ambassador to Kenya Eric Lundberg says the grant is expected to support the work of Trademark East Africa in enhancing trade across the East Africa community and enhance shared prosperity in the region. The envoy said the grant agreement will in the long run deepen regional economic integration through TMEA over a period of 3 years, noting that a fund is replenished every 3 years.
We can measure the pulse of the East African economy by looking at this port. And as long as the goods are flowing smoothly through this harbor, we can say that the whole of East Africa is doing well.
If you look down the horizon, we now had just launched the Continental Free Trade Area. This is a significant step. And Kenya is one of the number 3 countries that are in the forefront in doing that, but as an entry. But East Africa community is seen as the front runner for that.
This integrated reform that promotes the ability to achieve a significant outcome towards the implementation of our port charter, addressing all the concerns that we have as industry with respect to the lack of productivity, innovation, and efficiency.
Now finally, Kenya's leading market research and consulting firm Ipsos and brand and business advisory consultancy BSD Group today launched a pioneer study dubbed the top 100 most loved brands by women in Kenya that will serve as an insight-led tool for Kenyan businesses into the power of women in the markets. According to the study, Safaricom, Equity and Always are among the top 100 most beloved brands by women, where Gender Affairs CAS Rachel Shebesh highlighted the need for targeted marketing for women to influence brands that they buy or interact with. She said her ministry, led by Cabinet Secretary Margaret Kobia, is keen on data insights and will be using the data presented at the forum to enable even more efficiency.
We have changed the way we deal as a ministry for gender. For a long time, private sector, women in the grassroots, women in civil society found coming to government a hard job. But when we came in with my Cabinet Secretary, Professor Margaret Kobia, we said, we must open up.
This comprehensive study will drive economic growth, which is great when we are in International Women's Month, SDG 8, by accelerating new market access through women markets, by enriching the understanding on the opportunities presented, and contribute to industry's growth and new innovations.
The study also confirmed what we already knew. One thing that stood up was that women are significantly less affluent than men in Kenya. We know that. Women in Kenya dream of financial stability, and such lack of economic empowerment as a main issue they face today. women often face hardship in the workplace while conducting business. So there's a real challenge about the whole environment that woman is working, and we need to do from the government side, from the private side. How can we really help to to really empower this woman and remove all these barriers that were there that we talk.
Fantastic. As women continue to control the markets, we wrap up the business news of the day. Up next is sports news with Lincoln Wumbugu.
Thank you, Clifford. On to sports news. Football Kenya Federation has lined up 3 friendly matches for the Harambee Stars ahead of the upcoming final rounds of the 2021 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Stars will play South Sudan on March 13th in their first friendly and will proceed to host Tanzania in back-to-back matches played on March 15th and March 18th in Nairobi. The final round matches of the 2021 AFCON qualifiers will see Kenya host Egypt on March 22nd at Kasarani before travelling to Togo for the final qualifying match on March 30th. Elsewhere, league leaders Manchester City extended their winning run to 21 games in all competitions after thrashing Wolverhampton Wanderers 4-1. An unlikely second half equaliser from Connor Cody in the 61st minute